Okay, so think about this. You've got the most complex, most powerful device in the known universe sitting right inside your head, but you never got the owner's manual, did you? Nope. For most of us, we're just told it's this fixed, kind of mysterious machine. But what if all of that is just wrong? Well, today we're going to toss out that old, outdated manual and give you the real one, the one based on what science actually knows now. So let's crack it open, shall we?
So right away, let's look at the two big ideas. On the left, you've got the old map. This is the brain you probably learned about in school. It's fixed, it just kind of reacts to stuff, basically a machine. But on the right, that's where things get exciting. That's the new science. And it tells us our brain is always changing. It's actually predicting the world, not just reacting to it. And it's a system we can work with. This shift in thinking, it's everything.
You know, for the longest time, we had this really simple story about the brain. We pictured it like it was built out of Legos, where each little piece had exactly one job. It's a nice, simple story, but it turns out it's completely wrong. So let's go ahead and bust our first big myth.
So the old idea went something like this. If you wanted to find, say, focus or emotion, you could just point to a single spot in the brain, like, oh, there it is, the focus spot, or that's the memory center right there. It made for a really neat and tidy map, right? The only problem is the brain is anything but neat and tidy. It's a collaborator. And this is the breakthrough. Something like focus isn't just in one spot, not at all. It's the product of whole networks of different brain areas, like the attention network and the control network, all lighting up and working together. See, there's no single hero part of the brain. It's all about teamwork.
Okay, so the brain works in teams. Got it. But this next part, this is where it gets really personal and, frankly, super empowering. Because it turns out your brain isn't some static thing you were just born with. It's a living, changing system. And guess who the lead architect is? Yeah, it's you. I mean, for decades, the absolute dogma was that once you hit adulthood, your brain is pretty much set in stone. That's it, done. That was the old belief. But then came the massive breakthrough of neuroplasticity, which showed us the complete opposite is true. Your brain is physically rewiring itself every single day, all based on what you do and what you experience. And the implication of that is just huge. And I want to be clear, this is not a metaphor. The things you do over and over, the thoughts you keep thinking, the skills you practice, they physically change your brain. They're carving pathways, strengthening connections. Your daily habits are literally sculpting the physical structure of your mind.
So, what even are these thoughts that are doing all this sculpting? Well, they're not some magical, mysterious cloud. They're real physical events. A thought is basically just a little zap of electricity shooting down a neuron. When it gets to the end, it triggers a release of chemicals that jump across a tiny gap to the next neuron. That's it. It's all just electricity and chemistry.
And speaking of those chemicals, let's meet the four main players running the show. You've got dopamine, that's your motivation and drive. Serotonin, that helps balance your mood. Acetylcholine is key for learning and focus. And GABA helps you feel calm and in control. These little messengers are pretty much the language of your mind. How you feel at any given moment is, in a very real sense, all about your current chemical cocktail. All right, so we've established your brain as this constantly changing network of electricity and chemistry. But what's its main job? What's it trying to do all day? Well, we used to think it was just reacting to stuff, but the new science reveals its number one job is actually way more proactive. It's trying to predict the future. Yeah, the old model was super simple, right? Something happens, light hits your eyes, sound hits your ears, and then your brain kicks in and reacts. It was seen as this passive blob just sitting there waiting for the world to give it something to do.
But here's the game-changing idea. Your brain is a prediction engine. It's not waiting. It's constantly running simulations, using every experience you've ever had to make its best guess about what's going to happen next. And it prepares your feelings and actions in advance. This, by the way, is why habits are so powerful. Your brain loves knowing what's coming. And this whole prediction thing completely changes how we should think about memory, too. The classic idea, the one we all have, is that memory works like a file cabinet, right? You have an experience, you stick it in a folder, file it away, and when you need it, you just pull out that file perfect and unchanged. Yeah, that's not how it works at all. A memory isn't retrieved, it's rebuilt. Every single time you remember something, your brain is actively putting it back together from all these different pieces. And here's the crazy part. Every time you do that, the memory can change, just a little bit.
It's a living, evolving story, not some dusty old file. Okay, so if our brain is this living, changing, predictive system that we're shaping all the time, then how do we actually take care of it? This brings us to the really practical stuff. Let's talk about daily maintenance for peak performance.
And let's kick things off by tackling a huge myth about something we spend about a third of our lives doing, sleeping. Most of us think of sleep as the brain's off switch, time for it to just shut down and rest. Well, that could not be further from the truth. The reality, sleep is one of the brain's most active and crucial work shifts. It's like the night crew comes in to get the real work done. While you're asleep, your brain is busy storing important memories, it's literally cleaning out toxic gunk that builds up during the day, it's processing emotions, and it's locking in everything you learned. Skimping on sleep, that's basically like telling your entire maintenance crew to just take the night off. Not a great idea.
All right, let's bust one final myth. It's the classic one, the battle between emotion and logic. The old idea was that to make a good decision, you had to be like Spock, crush your emotions and be purely logical. But get this. Neuroscience has shown us that people with damage to the emotional centers of their brain, they can't make good decisions. In fact, they can barely make any decisions at all. They just get stuck. Turns out emotion isn't the enemy of logic. It's what tells you what matters. They're partners.
So let's recap. We've busted some huge myths. We've seen that your brain is a changing, predictive, team-based system. We've even looked at how to take care of it. So after all that, what is the final, most important truth you need to know about this amazing thing sitting in your skull? Here's the first part. Let this one really sink in. Your brain is not a machine you control. It's not something with levers and buttons that you can just command, trying to force it to just focus or just be happy. It usually backfires, right? That's because it's not designed to work that way. Instead, it is a system you train. This is the big takeaway. You don't control your brain moment to moment, but you absolutely 100% can train it over time. The inputs you give it every day, what you pay attention to, what you practice, how well you sleep, that's the curriculum. That's what you're teaching it to be. And what that means is that every single day is a training session. Whether you're paying attention or not, you are actively shaping the brain you're going to have tomorrow. So, the only real question left is, knowing all this now, what are you going to practice today?